President Akufo-Addo's representative at the Ministry of Finance, Charles Edubuahin, explained that the new taxes were necessary so to afford the government an assured revenue source to be able to procure COVID-19 vaccines for the country.
I think what we first have to agree is that we had to find some revenue measures, some new tax measures to be able to increase our revenue. But that's not the only place. We also looked at compliance. You spoke about exemptions. Exemptions, we have an exemptions bill that we've laid before Parliament. We've taken it back because we want to update some elements of it, and we intend to submit it this year. And that is one thing. Exemptions is a big deal. The exemptions are way too much. We give exemptions for mining sector, oil and gas. Everybody gets exemptions. Okay. We've got to look at that closely.
Meanwhile, Director of Research at the Trades Union Congress, Kwabena Nyako Otu, has asked the government to revisit the country's tax exemption regime to cut what he described as massive losses to the state.
The hospitality industry, we have eased the restrictions, but we know that the hotels are still not, their occupancy rate is still very low. So it will be very difficult to sustain the assumption that the public, the workforce, the households and firms are out of the woods, and for that matter, they are making money and they can be taxed. But having said that, even if we have to tax, we should be careful about the type of tax or the nature of the taxation we enroll. So the tax expert in the studio or on the panel has mentioned this tax exemption. In 2017 alone, tax exemptions, according to the budget, was about 5.2 billion Ghana cedis, which was more than all the money we have spent on the free SHS from 2017 to 2019. So we need to urgently tackle the tax exemption question. The other part is the property taxation thing. I think it has come to a point where we really need to take property taxation away from the district assemblies. They appear not to have the capacity and the incentive to collect. Yes. And the state must take over that kind of tax, and probably will earn more and remit more to the district assemblies.
On his side, former Finance Minister Setekpe, who was also a panelist, called on the Institute of Chartered Accountants to, as a matter of urgency, clarify the computation of debts and revenue on the national front and also make a pronouncement on recent happenings at the Auditor General's department. According to the former minister, the silence of the Institute on the varying standards of calculating national debts and revenue will leave a bad precedent if nothing is done about it by the Institute.
Let us have a consensus on how we calculate revenue, how we calculate expenditure, how we calculate debt. And here, let me take the opportunity to call on my own profession, the Council of the Institute of Chartered Accountants. Please give us a standard. Give us UPSA. In 2015, we requested the Institute of Chartered Accountants to give this country a standard in UPSA, adopt UPSA. It is global. And it settles the question. So it's not up to me as minister or another person as minister to say that I can include this and I cannot exclude this. I believe those from industry know what I'm talking about. You don't apply IFRS and choose what you want to include or what you don't want to include. And I hear a lot of noise again about auditing, ethics issues, methodology issues, independence issues. These are the core of auditing. Again, the Institute of Chartered Accountants, the silence is deafening.